What's happening, gang? We are getting the deck out from underneath so we can work on the deck and also work on the front axle to get the poor man's power steering put on there. Today is Thursday, October the 12th. Should be getting the exhaust manifold for the engine tomorrow. So the only hold up now is getting the excuse me, the blocks to raise the engine up. Had a little bit of a snafu with the company that I tried to get the blocks from, so looks like I'm just going to have to make them myself. Not a problem. You know, you put your faith in others, oftentimes it doesn't work out. Well, sometimes it doesn't work out, and in this case it didn't. They were gracious enough, they didn't charge me since they screwed everything up totally. You know, what's the difference between 1.125 and 1.5 inches anyway, right? They said, well, we can mill them down for, and I'm like, you know what, no. It's already taken this long for you guys to get to them. I'll make them myself. So, and no harm, no foul. These guys have been great with me in the past. I really need to get that mill in this shop so that I can take care of these things on my own and not have to rely on other people. That's just the biggest thing. Biggest time constraint on just about everything is waiting on shipments, waiting on parts, waiting on, you know, fabricated parts, waiting on this, waiting on that. It's not all me just dragging my feet. I can only do what I can do while I'm waiting on other people to help me in the process. And, you know, yeah, does it cost? Yeah, well, sure. Cost me time, money, cost Sean time without his mower. Fortunately, he's got a cousin lives next door, he can use their mower. So enough babbling. Let's get busy on getting these spindles off, or I'm going to go ahead and take the whole front axle off so that we can work on this on the bench and get that poor man's power steering in there. Stay tuned. Doesn't look like much of a tractor, does it? Well, we've got the front end off, and I got another sticker. It was from Octane Lighting, one of the places that I'm ordering 6-volt bulbs from, so I was putting it on Big Red here, the tool cart, and for about 2 months now I've been trying to find my 2016 Tri-State Gas Engine and Tractor Show badge that you have to put on your whatever you're riding around, whether it be a golf cart, tractor, or whatever. And so I pulled this sticker off in order to put the Octane Lighting decal on there. And what was it? Yeah, it was my 2016. Did not even realize until after I'd pulled it off and saw it sitting on there. I was like, ah, really? I must have thought it was a 2017 or something. But anyway, found it. You always find what you're looking for when you're not looking for it. You guys ever notice that? I'm not going to go through this. I just lost a branch. I'm not going to go through this entire thing with you guys because I do have videos that I will link in the description below that shows exactly how to do this thrust bearing and thrust washer. Where'd I put them? Where'd they go? Who hit them? Somebody took them. Hello. Well, anyway, I had them. Hang on. Found him. Was that as fun for you guys as it was for me? At least it didn't take me as long as it took me to find my sticker. But I will link both the videos for the installation, and to do a before and after really doesn't do these things justice. Best way that I can explain it to you is if you're steering, if you're sitting still and you really have to wrench on the steering wheel in order to get it to turn, then these, if you have a spinner ball on your steering wheel, you'll be able to sit there and do this without the tractor moving. Okay, and it improves it even more when you have the Firestone tri-bars, the wide. What are they? I forget the size. 16, 8.5, 8s, something like that. But anyway, Miller Tire Online's where you can get those. And I'm still going to try to talk Sean into getting a set. So, whether he gets them now or gets them later, and if he needs help mounting them, I can mount them for him. But anyway, I'm going to get busy on this. I'll show it to you guys when it's all done and back on the tractor, and then show you how easy it spins. Of course, there's no engine on the tractor, so it's going to steer real easy anyway. But it really, really does help improve steering. And something else, while I've got the axle off, and another reason I took the axle off was to inspect. See how shiny this is right here? That's an area that has to be greased a lot. That's the wishbone that goes into the subframe of the frame. I'll show you right where. Okay, this is where the axle itself mounts. Then right up under here, that big old hole there, that's where that wishbone goes into. You got to keep that greased. Now somebody has greased it, which is good, but we need to make sure that we keep that greased. Just a point of attention for you guys to keep in mind. But we're moving along. Let's get this done. I've already checked the tractor over as far as the transmission and bevel gearbox and all that stuff, and everything is awesome with it, so no worries there. I'll pull the wheels, repack the bearings with grease. After I get the spindles out, I will of course grease the spindles really well. I have to relieve a couple of the thrust washers so that grease will get down into them when they squirt grease into them. But like I say, I will link both of those videos on the power steering, as well as the part numbers that you're going to need and the quantities of these washers. Real quick, I will show you what you need to have per side. Alright. Make sure you guys can see this. Each side is going to have a needle bearing, a 30 thousandths thrust washer, and a 60 thousandths thrust washer. 60 thousandths thrust washer goes on the bottom, then your needle bearing. When I say bottom, I'm talking about right here. So you have your 60 thousandths thrust washer, your needle bearing. Grease these up before you put them on. Then your 30 thousandths, and these are what have to be relieved. You have to put reliefs. Just take a rat tail file, and so that when you go to squirt grease in, the grease has a path. The grease has a path to get into the needle bearing. But that's your stack up right there, just like that. And then the reason that you need the last thrust washer is to put on top of the spindle up here. And this will help when you go to grease. It'll help keep the grease in the spindle, and some will still push out around this, but this tolerance here is a little tighter than a factory thrust washer, which would be like that. Okay, so there you go. Alright, that's enough of that. 6.5 minutes plus a little bit. We'll see you guys when it's done. Okay, I did mention this on the two videos that I linked below, but when you have this much wear, you've really got to fill that in before you put your thrust washers and everything in place. That's got to be perfectly level so that when you drop your 60 thousandths thrust washer down on there, that washer is going to sit perfectly flat. Now, on these later models, where this bend is, you're not going to have it perfectly flat right there. But the 60 thousandths is rigid enough that you're not going to get into too much of an issue with it. So, just so you know, you can use steel stick, you can use JB weld. You can use whatever you want. The best thing to really use to make sure that this is good and level, once you there's going to be a burr, so you're going to have to file the burr down, and once you fill that in, use your thrust washer to press down on that, and then go ahead and slide slide it up in the axle and put some pressure on it. If you're going to do this with it off the track, or with the axle still on the tractor and you're just taking the spindles off, just put the spindle back on, set that washer on there, and just set all of it together and set the tractor back down on the ground, and let the weight of the tractor keep all that perfectly level and where it needs to be. That was something I did not mention on the other video, so stay tuned, we're getting there. Alright gang, we're back in one piece. Show you the stack up here. There's the 60 thousandths thrust washer, then the needle bearing, thrust bearing, and the 30 thousandths thrust washer with the reliefs in them. I haven't greased everything yet. This side over here, in order to get the E-clip back on, I did have to shorten this sleeve a little bit, but that sleeve was really wore out, so it needed leveled anyway. And it turned out once I got it, all of the boogers cleaned up out of it, it was just enough that we were able to get things together there. So instead of having those tiny little thrust washers on there that allow grease to spew out all over everywhere, now it should hold the grease in a lot better. Same thing under here, which is really hard to see, but it's under there. So now it's time to throw this sucker back on the tractor, grease everything up, oil everything up. I'm going to oil these pivots. I've already oiled this pivot here, but we need to oil those two pivots. Then we'll see how it steers. So y'all sit tight. Doesn't that always figure? You run out of stuff as you're working. I ran out of grease. Had to reload the old grease gun. I use red and tacky, Lucas red and tacky. And that's some stuff. I have an air bubble. Come on, air bubble, get out of there. There we go, there's grease. And there's the air bubble. See it? That grease makes a mess when you got to change the tube out. Alright, that's it. We can set her down on the ground, and I'm going to mimic an engine being in there just by stacking a bunch of weight in there. We'll see how she steers. So, give me a minute, I'll get her on the ground. I just took a quick break from the spindles. Went out, picked up my mail. I got my switch for the CL200 Cafe build. Those of you who know motorcycles know that there's something kind of major missing from this switch. You guys see what it is? Huh? Well, let me show you over here on the Twin Star what's missing. I'll just put this up there and compare it. Anything? How in the heck am I supposed to mount my brake cable to this thing? And my brake lever? And my mirror? It's got to go back. Alright gang, that's actually way more than what this Briggs engine that's going in weighs. There is 106 and a half plus 25, 130 pounds there. So that is mimicking what an engine weight in there would be and how easy it is now to steer. That's the stuff. That's the stuff. All right. I've done all I'm going to do there today. It's almost time for dinner. Sean, hope you're enjoying the progress that's going on here. Tomorrow will be Friday, and we should have an exhaust manifold. Like I say, I've got to make the blocks myself because of that flub, but I'll get those blocks made as quick as I can tomorrow. They've got to be done right, and they were not done right. So if you guys enjoyed this, give me one of these, and we will see you guys on what part? Is it 4 or 5? I think this one's part 3 or part 4. At any rate, we'll see you guys on the next 7118 build. Later.